Okay, hi, this is Scott Hansen from the riffle blogspot.com. This is my first video for the blog. I'm going to show you how to tie my highly adequate parachute flies. Um, I would call them perfect parachutes, but nothing is perfect in this world, so this is my technique for tying good looking parachute flies pretty much every time. And it's a little different than what most people do, so I'm going to show you how to do it. I've got a Daiichi 1180 dry fly hook, standard dry fly hook in the vise, size 14, and I'm going to get started here. I am going to tie a parachute Adams in size 14. I like to use red or maroon colored thread. Actually, this is wine colored thread on my parachutes, or on my Adams I should say. I'm just going to get a base of thread started right there. I start at the about the 1/4 point, make a little base of thread covering the hook, and go from there. It's a good way to start your parachute flies. For a tail, I'm not going to use Hackle fibers or anything like that like a normal Adams would. I've just got some brown synthetic mayfly tails I'm going to tie in here. Going to measure those so that they're about the length of the hook shank or so. Tie them in, and I start them here at the 1/4 point, which is where my wing is going to go, and tie them in there, cover them all the way up, back to the back to the bend. That way I get a nice even underbody there. There's no lumps or anything. Now this is what I do for most of my mayfly imitations. I'll just hold the tails up like that, put one wrap underneath them to cock them up, and splay them out a little bit, makes them look a little bit more realistic. Come back here, the 1/4 point, and now I'm going to tie my wing in. For my parachutes, I like Antron yarn. It's easy to work with. Got that nice luster. Some people like poly yarn. I'm not a big fan of poly yarn just because I think when it gets wet, it kind of loses its form, kind of poofs out and doesn't look very good. So I like Antron. What I'm going to do here for the size 14 fly, I'm going to take, I've got about 3 or 4 inches of Antron yarn here. This is just white Antron. I'm going to loop it up underneath the hook shank like this, right in front of where my thread is at the 1/4 point. Hold it straight up. I'm going to take my thread, which is behind it right now. I'm going to go right in front of it, kind of bind down that front part of that Antron with about 3 or 4 or 5 wraps. And I'm going to go behind the Antron and do another 3 or 4 or 5 wraps on the back side of that Antron. That should be bound in pretty good right there. I'm going to do a bunch of figure 8s here around the base of that yarn just to make sure it's nice and strong. And now I'm going to actually start wrapping up the Antron. So I'm going to hold on to the yarn with my left thumb and forefinger. I'm going to go around, that didn't work, I'm going to go around that, like that, do a couple of 3 or 4 wraps around just the base of the yarn. I'm not going around the hook right now, I'm just going around the yarn, making a nice little base of thread there. Once I get that base on there, I'm going to work my way up the yarn. Keep nice tight tension on your thread, but not too tight so it breaks. I'm going to go up about 1/8 of an inch or so, and then I'm going to work my way back down, make a nice base of thread. And we want this wing to be nice and strong because we're going to wrap our hackle right on that wing instead of around the hook. We don't want it to be able to flop around at all, so once I get back down here, I'll do a few more figure 8s like that, and I'm going to leave my thread hanging right in front of that wing. Now I've got a grizzly hackle and a brown hackle. I'm going to tie them in at the same time here. And gotta get these ready. Every time I tie in hackle of any kind, I prepare them. So what I do to get ready to tie these in, I'll pull out the fibers at the base of the feather at a 90-degree angle, and then trim up about an eighth of an inch, quarter of an inch or so, just to leave some little nubbins for the of feather fiber for the thread to hang on to. I think that if you just tie in a bare hackle stem, it can get pretty slippery and come out. So I'll tie in the grizzly one first. Now this is very important step to how I tie my parachutes. I always want to make sure that the feather, when I tie it in, the curve is curved up. So what I do, I let my thread hang here. I come in, I point the feather straight away from me so it's parallel to the tabletop, and so that if it was short enough to be able to see the curve, it would be curved upwards toward the ceiling. I just come in right behind my post, throw my thread over the hackle stem where the nubbins are that I trimmed off, and I wrap that right to the shank of the hook about 3 or 4 times. I'll do that with the brown now as well. Just come in right back there. Tie that in. Now I'm going to work my way back to the wing here, back to the post. And I want to tie both these feathers right onto the wing. So I'm going to kind of marry them together so that they're both, the curve is curved towards me now when I stand it straight up like that. And I'm going to go around, let's see, I'll change hands here. Go around the base of that wing and the hackle stems. And I'm going to go all the way back up, cover up those same thread wraps that I wrapped up the wing, and tie those in like that. Now I'm back down on the hook shank. I just cover up the hackle stem there and the little nubbins, and I've worked my way back to the tail. So my wing is ready, my hackle is ready to be wound. I'm going to put the body on first here. I've just got some gray super fine dubbing. You can use whatever your favorite dry fly dubbing is, obviously. I like super fine just because the colors are so uniform from bag to bag. It's such small fibers that it dubs really nice tight little bodies. So for dry flies, I don't think you can beat super fine. I've got about 2.5, 3 inches of dubbing here for a size 14 fly. Start here at the back, work my way up, make it kind of taper it up towards the wing. Now here's what I do. Some people would stop now and wrap their hackle and then finish the body. I just go ahead and dub the whole body at once. So I'll go in front, go behind. This is a nice thing about having a rotary vise. My Regal is not a true rotary, but it lets me see the far side of the fly, just like a real rotary would. So I want to make sure I cover up all the thread wraps and stuff. I don't want to let too much thread show through there around the wing. So I'll just add a little bit more dubbing here. Go around, that might be too much dubbing. Spin that a little tighter. Get that nice tight right there. Okay, it's not the best body, but it'll do for now. So I've got the whole body dubbed. It's ready to go. My thread's hanging right behind the eye of the hook. I got my hackles here, kind of married together on the far side of the wing, and I'm ready to hackle. So this is what I do. I take, in this case, both the hackles together and make sure that they are married nicely there. I go, my first wrap, I come counterclockwise on my wraps for my parachute hackles. Make sure that first wrap is right at the top wrap of thread on my wing, and then each successive wrap of hackle will be below the previous wrap. And I got 3. When you're doing 2 hackles at a time like this, you can probably get 3 or 4 wraps at most. And I've worked my way all the way down to the body. So now to tie this off, I've got my hackles here. I pull them over to the far side of the hook, just straight away from me like that. I will pull my thread up on my side of the hook, and then I kind of angle it down so that it's underneath the hackles and around the hook shank, around the eye, and I take some finger dexterity here. But now I've got the hackles trapped to the bottom of the hook, right underneath the eye. I'll do that about 4 or 5 times. Once I get those in there nice and tight, my hackle is below the hook, down by the eye, so it'd be very easy to trim my thread off when I cut those out. So what I do, I just bring my thread around the back side of the fly and let my bobbin hang on my vise. Hopefully those are out of the way. Now I can come in here and with my trusty curved tipped scissors right underneath the eye of the hook, trim those out. If I miss a few, just trim those out at the same time. Now bring my thread back down here. Didn't break, so that's good. Didn't trim that thread, so that's good. Pull my hackle up and out of the way. Make a nice little head there. Looks like I got a couple of fibers on this side. No big deal. Pull my thread down. Where's my whip finisher? There it is. I take my Matarelli style whip finisher here. Now as I'm doing this, I can just kind of pull the wing back a little bit. Get those hackles out of the way. Go down 3 or 4 times. Pull it down. And this fly is essentially done. I trim the thread. I don't want this long wing here, so I'll go in and trim that out now. I want that to be about the length of the hook shank or so. Right about there. And looks pretty good. My highly adequate parachute hackling techniques. Hope you liked it. Thanks.